Hi there, welcome back to our channel, and today we're going to be talking about a supporter story, and that's going to be my husband sharing how he supported me through the worst bout of depression that I had. He also refers to what triggered that, and it was an accident. We went for a bike ride as a family nearby our house and I broke my ankle. He also refers to his time in the services briefly, and just to kind of give you a bit of background on that as well. So one of the things that comes up is he keeps referring to isolation, and that is not in reference to what we're going through at the moment in our lockdown, but it's in reference to isolating ourselves when we feel low and not worthy, and it's the worst thing we can do. So even though we are in lockdown, we need to try and be involved in our friends' conversations with our family, and just be honest about how we're feeling, because it's okay to not be okay. Enjoy.
Hi, my name's Brent Owens. I've been asked to speak about a supporter looking after someone who's suffering with depression and anxiety. I think the first time that Lisa asked me if I would come along to one of the courses and do this, I really didn't know what to say, because the first thing that hit me is that I said everything wrong. I probably did everything wrong. And if I can communicate anything to you on this talk, it's all the things to avoid doing, and definitely some of the things you can do that I think made a big difference. I will kind of parallel Lisa's story. As she said, we've been married for almost 26 years now. And definitely we had a very strong personality mix. I was very passive aggressive, quiet in the face of any type of argument, adversity, and she was quite loud and temperamental. And I do know and believe that God has a serious sense of humor, because this made some amazing rows in our early years. But I can also say in reflection of when she actually first came down with serious bouts of depression, it was that total change in her demeanor and her personality that scared me more than any temper or upset she'd ever had. I've since noticed as well with other people who are suffering, the difference between someone suffering and when that same person isn't suffering is quite profound. I recently got the chance to listen to someone who I knew had been a massive sufferer of depression and anxiety for quite a few years, and they were well, and I could tell it because of the way they were smiling, the glow on their face. It was really transformational. And I knew that, at least in part, this course and the people that came around it must have been a contributor to that. Which leads me on to my next point. If you're here as a sufferer or a supporter, you've got an incredible opportunity to be a good listener, to be an encourager, and for all the people around you, you can contribute to their recovery, just like I hope and pray they're contributing to yours. So when this started with us several years ago now, the biggest thing we felt was complete and utter isolation. We felt isolated as a couple, as a family, and I can't even imagine the isolation that Lisa must have felt within her own head going through this without really any type of guidance. More understand today than they did then, but a lot of people just didn't understand. And to be fair, as I've never suffered with it, I do understand it's quite easy to be dismissive when people are going through it, because you can't see it, you can't recognize it. But inside, they're going through hell. It is a horrible, horrible thing to go through. To try to take on any advice you can get, anything that works for you, you go out and you find it and you embrace it and you keep trying. And if you're a supporter, you be an encourager and you keep on doing what you're doing, because it's very, very important. We went through this several times with Lisa. They were all associated with the birth of one of our kids, which still amazes me now that nobody picked that up as being postnatal. But it was. I guess the challenge was there was a lot of other very difficult circumstances around all of those births, but it just never clicked. Never clicked with me, never clicked with Lisa, never clicked with any of our friends or family or doctors. And I think the first couple of times I was anything but helpful. I would say I was completely useless. I would say that I just wanted it to go away. I don't like it when people get ill anyway, and I was probably quite resentful. But when Lisa broke her ankle in this just horrific, freakishly weird accident that happened just down the street from where we lived, my two young children responded better in that crisis than I did. They're the ones that helped me dial 999 when I couldn't unlock my phone. They're the ones who stayed calm when we had to bring an ambulance and a helicopter tried to land and all kinds of crazy stuff to get her to the hospital. So it was like the floodgates opened. It's like everything that had been going on in her head with her anxiety attacks and with the depression, and it just exploded. See, our anxiety attacks were so bad in the hospital, they were bringing in crash kits. We were in a hospital, and still no one picked up that this was a mental health issue. They tried to use any means but those type of treatments that we'd look at today, like counseling or medication or diet or exercise or just somebody to talk to her. It's still amazing when I think about it now, but I'm really grateful that we live in a country now where this is recognized and it's addressed and it's in every facet of our life. It's getting more recognized. It's getting much more bandwidth out there. So don't be afraid to talk about it. That first major incident when she broke her ankle, we ended up in the hospital. She didn't sleep for like 5 days. And I was there every day, all night. So I didn't sleep for like 5 days. It was a nightmare. At the end of that, we came home, and for the next 6 or so weeks, my wife just was a totally unrecognizable as the person that she is now and was before. I, of course, didn't plug in. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to talk about it because it scared me. So if she hadn't been asking, am I going to get better? Am I going to get better? Which she did constantly. I don't know if I would have really inputted into that. So that's something I regret. So I would encourage you, please keep talking, keep asking, even if you have to have the same conversation, the same reassurance 1,000 times a day. Trust me, it makes a difference. Another part about it, because we have a family, we have children, and our daughters at the time were like 10 and 7. They were quite young. They didn't have a clue what was going on. And I really didn't give them the best overview. I should have been a much more communicative than I was, and I really wish I had been. I wish I'd have sat them down and explained, look, this is an illness, this is normal, it happens to loads of people. We're just gonna help mommy get better. We're gonna get her the right treatment, the right, whatever's needed, and it's gonna be fine. But I didn't. I wish I had. So I can just encourage you, please, as a supporter, keep talking, keep communicating. And maybe there's some people listening to this now thinking, yeah, I'm supporting this person who's suffering, and I don't want to make a fuss. I can tell they're really upset and they're dealing with some incredibly horrible issues, but I don't want to go around telling people about this. This is not something I want to go into, but I just want to encourage you, please do tell people what's going on. Let them know this is normal. A lot of people who would probably deny that somebody else is having depression or anxiety could end up having it themselves. It's very common. 1 in 4 people. 25% of the population, and it's getting worse, and it's getting all age ranges, all demographics. It doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, what your job is. Nothing changes whether or not you'll end up with something like this. But it does end. It is not a permanent thing, and you will get better.